Hello, so this video is going to be a bit of a rant, so buckle up your seatbelts everyone. So with the recent infrastructure negotiation, things have really gotten kind of messy and dirty and egos and opinions are flaring and everybody is kind of giving it their all so that their side can come out with the victory. Now, we recently know that progressives stood firm and did not vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill, so Nancy Pelosi did not bring the bill to the floor because it wouldn't have had the votes to pass because enough people said no. Now, with that being said, corporate media have come out in droves to completely demonize the progressive wing, the progressive congressmen and women, and most importantly, Mr. Bernie Sanders, okay? And so I want to talk about this corporate media apparatus that have swarmed in unison to basically run propaganda for the moderates, which are actually the radical extremists, okay? Now, I know I'm going to make videos in the future about Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, Joe Biden, their reactions and how they're dealing with these infrastructure negotiations. But I had to get this video out of the way first because I thought it was very important to highlight what's actively going on so that we don't miss it. So I'm going to review a couple of articles very briefly. Now, the first one is the one from the Washington. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Sorry, this is from the Wall Street Journal. The title of the article goes as follows: President Sanders uses his veto. Okay, let's get into this article. As we recall, President Biden defeated Bernie Sanders in the 2020 Democratic primaries. Please don't remind me. But lately it's hard to tell. How so? The Vermont socialist is issuing his own veto over Mr. Biden's agenda on Capitol Hill until he gets the new entitlements and tax increases he wants. We'll get into that in just a second. Mr. Biden, who desperately needs a political victory in any victory, had been hoping the House would pass the $1 trillion Senate infrastructure bill on Thursday, as Speaker Nancy Pelosi predicted. When was the last time Democrats turned away $1 trillion in spending, especially when it comes gift-wrapped in 19 Senate GOP votes? Our guess is never. Mr. Sanders is urging his progressive followers in the House to defeat the infrastructure bill until the Senate also agrees to pass $3.5 trillion in new entitlement spending. Notice how he keeps saying entitlement spending. Okay, notice that. He's also raging against Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, fellow Senate Democrats who negotiated the infrastructure bill but want big changes in Bernie's budget buster. And I quote, "Two senators cannot be allowed to defeat what 48 senators and 210 House members want. We must stand with the working families of our country. We must combat climate change. We must delay passing the infrastructure bill until we pass a strong reconciliation bill," Mr. Sanders tweeted on Friday. The senator has an odd notion of democracy since his tweet ignores that there are also 50 Republicans who won an election to the Senate. He would have been more accurate to the tweet that 48 senators can't pass what 52 senators oppose, but we digress. So he should care about what Republicans want. These radical, extreme, far-right people that want nothing but austerity, we should care about what they want. Okay. The bigger news Friday is that the Sanders veto seems to have blocked Democrats from passing Mr. Biden's infrastructure priority this week. The president made a special trip to Capitol Hill on Friday to speak to House Democrats and urge them to stay united. But our deadline there had been no vote. According to press reports, Mr. Biden essentially conceded to the House members that the infrastructure bill won't pass until the reconciliation bill in some form is also on a clear road to passing. This was presumably that he's on their side, but it also shows who has the power in the Biden presidency, and it isn't the man in the Oval Office. That's an article from the Wall Street Journal. Look at the rank propaganda and lies. Look at this nonsense. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. He says that he's issuing his own veto. A senator has veto power. No, it's called withholding your vote. Every senator can do that when the margins are so thin. When Joe Manchin does this, and he's done this in the past, he's doing it right now by not voting for the partisan infrastructure bill. But no, Bernie Sanders is the guy they hate. He's the guy that actually wants what the people want, so they attack him instead. He says that he's using veto power against Biden's agenda until he gets his new entitlements and tax increases. So his entitlements include free community college, child care, expansion on the child tax credits. I mean, that's entitlements. So you pay taxes as an American citizen. You can't get those meager adjustments to society to help you in your daily life. So you don't deserve that? No, that's an entitlement to these corporate media hacks. And he says the entitlements and tax increases that he wants. He, as in Bernie Sanders alone, is the only person that wants this. No, the American people want this. This 3.5 partisan infrastructure bill is incredibly popular. All of these things that's in the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is incredibly popular among the American people. They want this stuff. So he's fighting on their behalf. And it's incredibly commendable for him to do so. But these hacks want to spew propaganda and pretend like, oh, he's derailing the Biden agenda. This is the Biden agenda. He campaigned on this stuff. He campaigned on $15 minimum wage. That fight came up. They laid down. We didn't get it. They haven't returned to that yet. But here we have a chance to actually pass some groundbreaking legislation for the American people. Yes, it's inadequate. Yes, it doesn't go far enough, but it's something. And it would help people. And they're running rank propaganda trying to demonize this guy to pretend like he's on the wrong side of things. Now, allow me to pivot for a moment and get to a second article that essentially echoes the same sentiment. This is from Yahoo Finance. Reminder to Democrats, Bernie Sanders isn't president. That's the title of the article. As if we don't know that the neoliberal centrist, that is Joe Biden, the war criminal, the guy that voted for the Patriot Act and the Iraq War and crafted the crime bill, is not the president or is the president, as if we don't know that. Absolutely ridiculous. This article is actually even more insane. This guy says liberal Democrats think they're having a moment. They're tying up President Biden's legislative agenda because it doesn't tax the rich enough or lavish adequate spending on the needy. It's sad that people think like this. It doesn't tax the rich enough. Guys, the richest people in this country, the richest CEOs, the people on those boards of the board of directors in these different entities, they pay less taxes than your average fireman or policeman or school teacher. It shouldn't be like that. The largest 55 corporations in the year of 2020 paid $0 in taxes. In fact, they got tax rebates, which means they got money back. They got more money instead of actually paying their taxes that they're supposed to. And these tax increases, guys, they're so minor. Donald Trump, with his legendary 2017 tax cut bill, where 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%, cut the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. I believe the Democrats are asking to raise it to 26%. So not even the previous 35. And Joe Manchin's like, no, I don't like 26. I want to do 24 or 25. What kind of tax increase is that? I mean, the one that they're asking for in the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is still inadequate. It needs to be higher than it was, which was 35% before Donald Trump cut it to 21%. These people have no idea what they're talking about. Absolutely insane. He says, since Democrats have tiny majorities in both the House and the Senate, a few defectors can squash Biden's entire plan. Liberals are reveling in their leverage. Wow. They shouldn't be. The so-called progressive wing of the Democratic Party may have enough heft to block action as it has with the so-called bipartisan infrastructure plan. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has twice delayed a vote on the $1 trillion infrastructure bill because a handful of progressive Dems say they won't vote for it unless both houses commit to a much bigger bill on social welfare and green energy. The Senate already passed the infrastructure bill and Biden desperately wants it. So for the moment, progressive obstructionists possess the power of no. So to these people, to the corporate media hacks, the progressives are the obstructionists. No, they're blocking Biden agenda. They're not permitting anything to happen. They're the obstructionists. It's not radical Kirsten Sinema that's taken over $700,000 from Big Pharma, that's against Medicare or Medicare negotiating for lower drug prices for Americans. She's not the obstructionist. It's not Joe Manchin's not the obstructionist for reveling in cash from the fossil fuel industries, and he's against climate change legislation. No. They're not the obstructionists. It's Bernie Sanders that's arguing for actual progressive legislation for the American people, and the progressives that are allying with him. Those people are the obstructionists. They're the extremists, okay? He says, but the progressives don't have a mandate from voters, and they can't make anything happen on their own. The 2020 presidential election settled this when the unexciting centrist Joe Biden squashed firebrand progressives Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in the Democratic primaries. In the general election, moderates and independents were key swing voters helping Biden oust incumbent Republican Donald Trump. After Biden dispatched Sanders and Warren in the primaries, they campaigned for him hoping to claim some ownership of a Biden administration should Biden win. Now they want payback. Look, I'm done reading this bullshit. The fact of the matter is, Bernie Sanders, Pramila Jayapal, all those progressives and lefty people in Congress and the Senate are actually doing a good thing right now. Okay, they're fighting for investments in working families, the elderly, and the environment, a tax cut for Americans making less than $400,000 a year. They're fighting for universal pre-K for 3 and 4-year-olds. They're fighting for tuition-free community college. The whole nine, okay, money that goes into housing, that makes housing more affordable. And they're painting that as if it's a bad thing, as if they're doing Biden, the entire administration, the American people as a whole, a disjustice. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This is absolutely ridiculous. They were so vitriolic to Bernie during the 2020 Democratic primary. And I hate thinking about this because if you were a Bernie supporter during that time, you know how hard that period of time was for us, okay, when the entire campaign got derailed and, of course, Joe Biden won. That wasn't enough for them. That wasn't enough. Now, even when their guy wins, they still have to somehow punch down on the left and try to beat us the fuck down and tell us, you know, your guy lost. Don't forget that. I mean, this is ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. A corporate media apparatus that is so intent on towing the line for the establishment and pretending like minor tax increases is something that's insanely radical, that things like universal pre-K and free community college is like an entitlement, something that other countries have gone far beyond. You look at a country like Germany, they have paid like 12 paid holidays off. They have 5 weeks paid time off, guaranteed. They have free college all around, not just for German citizens, but for immigrants as well. If you're an American and you want to go to Germany to study, you don't have to pay tuition. You have to pay for room and board, but you don't have to pay for tuition at all. You get to go to college for free and get an education. Universal health care. We're the only industrialized country with one form or another of universal health care. Absolutely insane. So many problems that's going on in this country, and these corporate media hacks continue to shill and defend and roll out their propaganda for the establishment, for insane extremists disguised as moderates like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin. It's absolutely insane and repulsive. I mean, these types of articles, and you know, people that aren't really in the know will read these types of articles and think that these people have a point when in fact they don't. I mean, it's repulsive, it's vile, it's so nasty, but this is corporate media doing their job the way that they've always have done. And honestly, what else do you expect?